cold air presses against her face. It is April 1945. The war is collapsing around her. She stands in a holding area near a ruined German town in central Germany. Smoke drifts low across broken rooftops. American trucks idle nearby. Their engines vibrate the ground. Her chest feels tight. Each breath comes shallow and sharp. Her ribs ache. The corset beneath her dress pulls inward, stiff boning digging into skin that has grown thin from months of hunger. She has worn it every day, even during air raids, even during forced marches. She watches American soldiers move with caution, weapons ready but eyes alert. One medic steps closer. He notices her posture. He sees the strain in her breathing. He gestures calmly. When the corset is finally loosened and removed, air fills her lungs fully for the first time in years. Her shoulders drop. She does not speak. She simply breathes. Germany in 1945 is a nation in physical collapse. The Allied invasion of Western Europe began in June 1944. By March 1945, American, British, and French forces had crossed the Rhine River. The German army was shattered. Fuel shortages, crippled armored units, air superiority belonged entirely to the Allies. Cities were reduced by strategic bombing, transportation networks were destroyed. Civilians lived on ration cards that no longer matched reality. Women often received less than 1,000 calories per day. Clothing became a form of discipline and habit. Many German women continued to wear corsets because social norms and decades of conditioning made it unthinkable to abandon them. Even as bodies weakened, as American forces advanced, they encountered millions of displaced civilians. Refugees fled east to west and west to east as front lines shifted in April 1945 alone. U.S. Army units processed hundreds of thousands of civilians. Some were fleeing combat, others were former forced laborers. Some were classified as prisoners of war or security detainees. German women associated with state institutions, factories, or auxiliary services were often held temporarily for screening. The Geneva Conventions governed POW treatment, but the reality on the ground was chaotic. American military government units had to improvise housing, food distribution, and medical care. Medical conditions among civilians were severe. Malnutrition was widespread. Vitamin deficiencies caused fainting, edema, and respiratory weakness. Tight clothing worsened these conditions. Corsets restricted lung expansion. In healthy individuals, this caused discomfort. In malnourished women, it could cause dizziness, shortness of breath, and collapse. U.S. Army medics were trained to recognize signs of starvation. Field manuals emphasized removing restrictive garments during examination. This was standard medical practice. It was not symbolic. It was practical. American medics carried minimal equipment. They relied on observation. Pale skin, protruding bones, shallow breathing. These signs guided treatment. Removing a corset could immediately reduce strain on the diaphragm. For many women, this simple act made the difference between collapse and recovery. From her perspective, the experience is silent and controlled. She has been taught to fear capture. Propaganda warned of brutality. Instead, the Americans follow procedure. She is searched, registered, observed. No shouting, no violence. The medic does not touch her without reason. He works quickly. Her breathing changes. Fear does not disappear, but panic fades. She remains a prisoner, but her body stabilizes. From a tactical angle, the Americans are under pressure. Units are advancing rapidly. Supply lines stretch long behind them. They cannot afford disease outbreaks among civilians. Typhus has already appeared in concentration camps liberated weeks earlier. Preventing medical crises is a military necessity. Every sick civilian requires guards, transport, and resources. Simple interventions reduce risk. Removing restrictive clothing is efficient. It costs nothing. It saves time. From a technological angle, this moment reflects a shift in modern warfare medicine. By 1945, the U.S. Army Medical Corps had integrated lessons from North Africa, Italy, and France. They understood the effects of starvation on the body. They used portable diagnostic methods. No machines, no labs, just trained eyes and experience. The corset is an artifact of an older world. The medic represents a modern system focused on function, not form. From the enemy perspective, Germany has failed to protect its own people. The state demanded endurance without providing sustenance. Women were expected to maintain appearance and discipline even as food vanished. The corset becomes a symbol of that pressure, not imposed by the Americans. inherited from German society itself. The turning point comes not with a battle, but with policy and movement. On April 12, 1945, U.S. forces reach deeper into central Germany. On April 18, Leipzig falls. On April 25, American and Soviet troops meet at the Elbe. The war is effectively decided. With combat slowing, military government takes over. Screening centers expand. Medical inspections become routine. German women held as POWs or detainees are examined in greater numbers. Records from U.S. Army medical units show widespread cases of malnutrition among female civilians. Corsets, belts, and tight garments are routinely removed during intake. In these centers, breathing improves. Fainting incidents drop. Recovery rates increase. No single order changes everything. No dramatic announcement, just repetition. One woman after another. A medic notices the same pattern. Tight chest, weak pulse. Remove the garment. Observe improvement. The process spreads across units because it works. For the woman, this moment divides her life. Before, every breath was effort. After, breathing becomes automatic again. She remains under guard. She remains uncertain about the future. But her body begins to recover. She can stand longer. She can sleep without pain. She eats small rations, bread, soup. The Americans follow calorie control to avoid refeeding shock. Another lesson learned from liberated camps: the aftermath is measured in numbers. By May 1945, over 11 million German soldiers are captured by Allied forces. Millions of civilians pass through temporary detention and screening. Disease outbreaks are limited compared to initial fears. U.S. Army medical reports credit early intervention and basic hygiene. Removing restrictive clothing becomes standard in civilian care. It is applied without ceremony. For German women, the war ends not with victory or defeat, but with exhaustion. Many return home changed. Social norms shift slowly. Corsets do not disappear overnight, but their authority weakens. Practicality replaces tradition. Bodies that survived starvation demand comfort. This event teaches the world something quiet and lasting. War is not only decided by weapons and strategies, it is shaped by small decisions made far from the front. A medic noticing shallow breathing, a rule applied without judgment, compassion expressed through procedure. In the ruins of a defeated nation, survival often begins with the simplest act: letting someone breathe.